Clinton taking the gloves off and going right after Trump with her harshest attacks yet. I'll ask the panel if this strategy is going to work. Then more fallout from the Trump University case. His handling of this tells a lot about how he'd handle sitting in the Oval Office, and it's not sitting pretty with a whole lot of folks. Then, dealing with a heroin epidemic. We'll tell you how the state of New York is dealing with what can only be termed a crisis. We'll talk to a member of the governor's task force on heroin and opioid addiction. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we begin tonight with Hillary Clinton going nuclear, if you will, on Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's ideas, they're not even really ideas, just a series of bizarre rants, personal feuds, and outright lies. This is not someone who should ever have the nuclear codes. He is not just unprepared. He is temperamentally unfit to hold an office that requires knowledge, stability, and immense responsibility.
She doesn't believe too strongly in Donald Trump's ability as a commander-in-chief. So, with her in California today, slamming Trump's foreign policy, Trump not too impressed when it comes to Hillary's handling of foreign affairs, especially Libya.
We went in, we knocked the hell out of Libya. We did all of the things with Gaddafi and all, we did great. She ends up with Benghazi. Remember the famous phone call? At 3 o'clock in the morning, she'll answer the call. Guess what? She was sleeping. She was sleeping like a baby. Don't wake me up. Of course, she took the calls from her slimy friends, but she didn't take 500 to 600 calls. They were calling and calling.
Okay, yesterday in New Jersey, Hillary Clinton unleashed some of her toughest attacks to that point, and she went directly after Trump University. Our own Dominic Carter was there.
The next president of the United States, Hillary Clinton.
It seems like the Democrats plan to fight fire with fire, declaring Trump University was nothing but a get-rich scheme.
His own employees testified that Trump U was a fraudulent scheme where Donald Trump enriched himself at the expense of hardworking people.
And Hillary Clinton pulled no punches.
He is trying to scam America the way he scammed all those people at Trump U.
Trump has maintained customers were overwhelmingly satisfied with the classes and released this video with Trump University students.
The courses that I took were outstanding.
Amazing learning experience.
We never felt pressured to do anything that we didn't want to do.
A New Jersey favorite was also on hand, John Bon Jovi.
And I'll say that we need someone who can unite us, not divide us. We, as Americans, must build bridges and not walls.
New Jersey Senator Cory Booker greatly praised his fellow Democrat, which got us to thinking that maybe he is in consideration for number 2 on the ticket.
Senator, you surely sound and look like number 2 on the ticket.
Listen, I'm number 1 trying to passionately push for her in New Jersey. That's my role right now, is to be in the trenches fighting for her. So I look forward to continuing that.
Donald Trump.
Look, he's a danger to our nation. He's a danger to global peace, frankly, and is somebody that even our allies are fretting about. So this is important for America and for the world. The leader of the free world, the commander-in-chief of this country, that should be Hillary Clinton next.
There's still the issue of Hillary Clinton and the fight of her life in California with Bernie Sanders, and many of these folks are not feeling the burn. Leslie Block is from Clifton.
I'm not happy with Bernie Sanders at all. I think he drank his own Kool-Aid.
I think they do have some of the same values, but they also have some fundamental differences as well.
He's probably a wonderful person and he means well. I don't know that our country is ready for him. Hillary has worked on both sides of the aisles extensively. Her foreign policy experience, I'm not sure that he has all of the ingredients it takes. His vision will belong to our country someday. I just don't think that right now is the time. And it's time for a woman.
All right. We're going to get to, that was Richard Brodsky. Let's get to our panel right now since he can't control himself. Yeah, that's what it was. He's a former Democratic New York State Assemblyman, now senior fellow at Demos, professor at NYU. Clearly hasn't learned after hundreds of appearances on TV when to stop. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Richard St. Paul, an attorney, Republican strategist, former vice chair for the National Black Republican Association. He's going to have a great time with Trump tonight. And Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. Well, Dom, you got the appetizer yesterday in Jersey where she went after him hard as I'd seen it to that point, calling him a fraud, among other things. And we'll talk about Trump University next segment. But that was an hors d'oeuvre to what we got today in California. Among other things, unfit, basically mentally unwell. You've had a lot of questions, and others too, that we haven't seen. I think Sharpton said she seems to be going into a boxing match with somebody that was going in with a broken Coke bottle and a switchblade. This is a street fight. She needs to do it. I saw that today. How about you?
I saw it yesterday and today, and in terms of covering this, bravo to the Democrats. It seems like they got the memo. They're like, okay, this guy's in the gutter. You know what? We don't want to do this. You attacked Bill for weeks, but enough is enough. We're going there with you. She's got Trump's. I still believe he could turn this around, but she's got him on the ropes right now, no doubt about it.
But you know, you saw a huge difference in the sound bites that we took from Hillary and we took from Trump. And while she responded on point about a lot of his personality traits and a lot of his his policies as well, she didn't do it in a sort of in the gutter kind of way. She hit with substance, and I thought she looked very effective. It was one of the more presidential speeches that I think we've seen on the campaign trail in quite a while. And it's like, finally, something presidential out of the presidential candidates.
And obviously, for time purposes, we just showed you a few clips from it, but she spoke specifically about Japan. She spoke about Korea. She went around the world, if you would, and among the issues, Trump's evolving positions on who should get nukes, who shouldn't get nukes, carpet bombing certain countries, and talking about basic things like, you do realize the civilians there where you want to carpet bomb the bad guys with ISIS, and all those other things. I don't know which voter was convinced or is convincible, if that's a word, at this phase, given how polarized we are, Richard. But you certainly seem to be making a point here. You can't give this guy the launch codes. You think if she takes that tact, say, like me, hate me, it doesn't matter, you're not worried I'm going to start World War III. This guy could. Is that enough to scare 5% of the country?
No, I don't think so. So first of all, if we're talking about just foreign policy, which that has something to do with foreign policy, Hillary Clinton clearly leads Trump in terms of foreign policy. And Trump's vice presidential candidate will need to be somebody who has great foreign policy
But if I could
credentials.
interrupt you for 1 second, Richard. When people hear foreign policy, they tend to think, all right, what should our trade deal be? Or maybe what position should we take as it relates? She was something more. This guy could start World War III. That's not, when you hear foreign policy, that's talking about he's dangerous. Isn't that a little different than how people have been voting in the polls, or when people call him, who do you trust more in foreign policy? This is, the guy's scary. You can't trust him.
Is he dangerous, or is he being tough? Look, at the end of the day,
which one do you think he is? Yeah. You wore a uniform. What do you think?
It's about interpretation. I mean,
I'm asking yours.
I think that he may be a tough. I don't think he's a silly guy. I don't think he's going to carpet bomb and
okay, but here's my question though, Richard. You wore a uniform, okay? 1 week, I'm not making this up. Literally 1 week, he says, you know what? We let Korea have a nuke. We should maybe let Japan have a nuke. Or India's, and Pakistan got nukes. And then he'll say people are lying that he ever made a suggestion that more countries should be able to get nukes. To me, that's not a little policy point. He's talking about, going the opposite direction of nuclear disarmament.
Well, here's what I think.
That doesn't scare you?
Here's what I think talking off the cuff goes wrong. There's very few speeches that he has that's actually prepared. Do I think Donald Trump is a Looney Tune? Do I think that he is, crazy? I don't think so.
You used to?
Never thought that. Never thought that. I think he is an opportunist, but I also think that he likes to just talk off the cuff. Now, when you're looking at Hillary Clinton and how she's speaking to a Democratic crowd. She's making points that are going to go far with a Democratic crowd. When Trump is speaking, he's speaking to a conservative crowd. He's making points. Look, it's very polarizing crowds.
That's fine.
But you're only fighting for a small amount of the independents.
Well, there's
and what's going to be important is going to be how are you going to help the economy? What are your policies going to be in terms of jobs?
Here's the one thing I know.
Protecting this country.
We don't agree on a lot of things in this country, but I think the overwhelmingly, and I'm saying 90+% of this country, does not want to start another war.
I've been fair to Trump, and I watch the struggle this formerly anti-Trump-ish person is having trying to be a good Republican. God bless you, you didn't get it done. The fact of the matter is that Hillary's speech today was not a foreign policy speech. It was a speech about safety and the politics of safety. Now, you may want to point out her own defects, and you may want to talk about what Trump can do well, but if she manages to stay on that subject matter, all he has to come back with is crooked Hillary, and it won't work. What you saw today was winning politics, good or bad.
You're looking at two people who have the highest negatives of any presidential candidate that we've seen in modern times. They're both very unpopular in terms of their character. What's going to, at the end of the day, what the American people are going to decide, not character, because they can assassinate each other's character for days. Well, that's what she's talking about.
I said safety.
She's talking about Donald Trump doesn't have the temperament to be president.
You know,
he's a dangerous person.
You know what surprised me today? Paul Ryan saying he's going to vote for Trump. Forgetting the politics of it, and I could make a compelling argument, it would have had more leverage if he didn't do that. But maybe this... There seems to be, and he's the right guy, to speak to this too, Andrew, but there certainly seems to be more than a tacit acceptance that it's better to be with him than against him. But when he says the things that he's going to say, I really think it carries a lot of peril with it.
I think it does, but I also think that, like a lot of people, a lot of Republicans are just sort of, playing the party line, and we're got to do what we got to do, and maybe it's out of support for the party, maybe it's out of opposition to Hillary Clinton. I already looked that way. But you didn't hear Paul Ryan criticizing Hillary Clinton's speech today, and you didn't see the Republican National Committee criticizing Hillary's speech today, and you didn't see a lot of high-profile Republicans criticizing Hillary's speech, because those are the exact same criticisms that all of those people have made about Donald Trump's foreign policy positions in the past, as we've gone through the primary process or up until now. And there's more they're more in line with Hillary's positions on this stuff, and there's not a lot to criticize.
Dominic, it's interesting. There was some tweets that Trump threw up, but honestly, it's so moronic. I'm not going to waste time with it. But one of the things he said is, she read it from the teleprompter. Okay, forget that he spelled the word teleprompter wrong. That's for another issue. But my point is to you, he's done this whole thing to this point, and it's worked for him, where he's off-the-cuff guy. It's starting, because now there's only two people left, by and large, okay, that it's starting to bite him where. Can he still do it this way where it's all off the cuff and he'll be changing his mind week to week? Or doesn't he need to have a little bit more staying on point and on message on subjects? He's not that he's got to convince the base anymore, right? He's got to convince, we'll agree, that 5 to 10% here that want to trust him. And they don't trust him yet. They don't love Hillary, but they don't trust him. He's got to get them to trust him. I don't see how you do it if you keep doing the way he's done it for the last 6-7 months.
Well, see, herein lies the problem. How do you do a complete 180 and turn into Mr. Presidential candidate when being the sideshow clown has worked thus far for you? As of right now today, I still think he's got a great chance to win. But as of this hour, on this day, he is almost looking like amateur hour at the Apollo Theater. And Hillary Clinton is looking like the adult in the room. So if he does not change this, if he continues to run a primary campaign for the fall election where it's only, you're the nominee, it's not looking pretty tonight.
If this dynamic stays, Hillary's inevitable. And in the short run, what she did today helps her in California. Across the board, this is the best day she's had in the campaign.
Agreed.
And it's a template for the next 5 months, and good luck to you defending the undefensible.
At the end of Hillary Clinton can't shake off Bernie Sanders, so she still has a dissension. At least Republicans have a candidate now. You still don't have a candidate.
That's not going to last that much longer, though. But we'll see. And again, as Richard mentioned, next Tuesday, not only does California vote, but so does New Jersey and a couple other places. The nominee will be decided, one would think, in less than a week. All right. Now, the more we do learn about Trump University, the more we learn about possibly how Trump would act as president, and he could teach us a very, some would say, harsh lesson.